Tonight, the challenge of running through the summertime continues. How will that challenge go when you're surrounded by cornfields? Well, Blazing Pedals will find out tonight as we get things set to go from iRacing's virtual Iowa Speedway for its 12th race of the season. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside the booth for tonight is Kate Corbin. Then it's Dustin Ellis, who is our producer for this evening here on Green Flag TV. Tonight we go short track racing for 200 laps. This will be an interesting race to say the very least, Kate, because it is, remember, the new Iowa in that it has the newer pavement in the corners that changed how this track raced after its update about a year or so ago. But tonight, we're into the midst of our summertime run in a stretch of 3 straight races once more before Father's Day. bookended by two big tracks of Charlotte and Indy.
Yeah, and even though Iowa is a little bit of a shorter track, you still do have a lot of on-throttle time. That being said, very close quarters racing. I think we're going to see a lot of beating, a lot of banging. Lap times are going to be super close. It's going to be hard to pull away, and it's going to be very hard just to make laps, let alone making laps in traffic. A very different challenge than we saw last week at Charlotte. Very unique challenge, and a lot on the plate for the drivers tonight.
And as you see, Justin Levine got the win last time out, remember, in this series. Chris Carroll is the best driver in the point standings, though, who was the winner at The Rock back on May 17th. TBB putting up some stats. Taylor Butcher Benjamin is second in points right now for Kilroe, Arthur, and Kleinsmith. You also throw drivers like Wellman, Marasco, Berg, Lagoons, and Hartman amongst your top 10. It's been pretty competitive in terms of some of the drivers here, but in particular, it's been hard to beat the consistency of 7 top 10s from Carroll. That's in part where things have been in terms of the team side too, where things have been tight on the averages, Cade. MFRD over Blackhawk, in terms of those numbers, they are by far the best on team average.
Absolutely. Those two teams looking really good, of course, on the shoulders of the great run by Chris Carroll. A lot closer here in the team standings than it is in the individual driver standings, but still plenty of races for it to play out tonight. Race number 12 of the season, as like you've said, Justin, we are getting into those summertime months where drivers are getting to some unique tracks, some interesting challenges, opening up possibilities of getting things shaken up in these point standings.
Absolutely here, and keep in mind, these drivers are going to have an interesting night to see who goes up on top of the board. And as qualifying gets itself set to go, we'd like to remind you tonight's coverage is brought to you in part by Ohio and Indiana Roofing Company. Ohio and Indiana Roofing is a premier roofing contractor. We are a sister company to the Bruns Construction Enterprise. We specialize in commercial and industrial roofing and are committed to accommodating the unique needs of each client, offering the creative solutions to meet those needs. We are a team of individuals who work for the same common goals: professionalism, quality, and service. Services we offer include preventative maintenance, re-roof new construction, infrared scanner, green roof solutions, metal, retrofit, emergency repair services, and more. Please visit oiroofing.com for more information. Qualifying, as we said, is underway. We still have about 5 minutes to work with in session, and a vast majority of the field not elected to put up times yet. Levi Allen, who has been an interesting driver to say the least, first start of the season after all at the top of the board. Kilroe, Payne, Michael Boone, William Brunin, Logan Wilson are the only other drivers that have taken to the racetrack. Nobody else except for Tanner Marr has even set foot on it as they wait to see what the track settles in here, Cade.
Yeah, there's a number of reasons why you could do that. I don't know exactly what the reason would be tonight. One thing that I would think of is they want to watch those other drivers and see where they're running on the racetrack, and trying to figure out if they want their first lap or their second lap to be their fast one. We're seeing now Tanner Marr is going to park that truck, so interesting story there. Now we're going to see what Larry Bell does. He's coming off of the apron with a good amount of speed all the way up through first gear, so it's looking like he might be trying to carry some momentum out of turn 4 here and get a fast lap on his first lap in qualifying. Other drivers maybe going to see how that works out for Bell, and if they want to go hard on lap 1, or if they want to wait till that second lap to try to build up some more speed.
I don't know if he really built up a great amount of speed entering the start of that lap. Misses the bottom as well in 1 and 2 by a little bit. Obviously now with this racetrack, you want to avoid the bumps. We've seen that a lot when it comes to Iowa Speedway, and tonight Bell look to see if he's going to be able to keep up with the 23.5 or the average of 23.7. See for the majority of your competitors. The first lap is up. It's second for Bell to start. First in the 6s.
Time he gets really loose off the corner, hung the back end of the truck out as he was getting onto the throttle. That's going to cost him a lot of time down the back straightaway. Riding along there, you can see the camera kind of point to the infield. That is a very uncomfortable feeling inside the truck. As we take a look at Brian Zimmerman, that's a really nice Davey Allison looking race truck there, coming through 3 and 4. He's able to get white down to the white line. I think that's going to be a preferred groove most of the night. And as Zimmerman crosses the line, he's going to go from 9th on the boards up to P6 down there in the 23.7 bracket. A couple more drivers rolling off pit road, including Kyle Wellman. He's going to try to put down a lap as well.
And Wellman was well down the first lap, had a slow roll through 1 and 2 that time. Darrell Butcher Benjamin started off with the 23.9s for reference on his first lap, and Wellman nearly spins it on the second also. A lot of people have nearly done that. That cost him a bit of ground. Wellman still gets up to 4th. Well, Stats will nearly spin it himself. This time through, it's up to 3rd, despite nearly wrecking the truck. Now, one of the drivers who's looked pretty solid as of late in multiple different series, Cody Gibson, is on track. No valid first lap, nearly wrecks it on the second. This is not good at all.
And this is something that you see at Iowa with a lot of different cars. I've experienced it in the Gen 4. I've experienced it in what's now the O'Reilly Series car. And it's really, really easy, especially on new tires, to get the throttle down just a little bit too quickly, overstep the limit of grip, and get the back end of your car or truck to step out. You find yourself sideways. 4 or 5 guys did it there. It's going to be something you're fighting on the short run. At this track. You take off in the restart zone. The tires don't have a whole lot of grip left, and you can see it there. The counter steering from Chris Berg. Still a pretty good lap from Berg. It's not going to be enough to get him deep inside the top 10. We'll see if the second lap is any better, but right there, once again, there's that loose condition. He's got to fight that thing all the way down the back straightaway, and that's going to be, like I said, very common story the first 2-3 laps before those tires build up a whole lot of speed. Almost again coming out of 4.
A lot of people having issues coming out of the corner, pushing the truck. That might be something to keep an eye on during the race itself. So on that note, everybody that's at least taking the time has at least put up 2 laps. 94 degrees is your track temp, by the way, coming in towards the end of the session with 2-time sun speed. Remember, 86 to start for your air temperature as well. It's expected to drop by the time we get to the 9 o'clock level by at least 3 degrees. We'll see how that impacts the track, which has not really moved around that much once we actually go racing because of the way the tire and heat models have worked. It's less than a week away from build week also, by the way, with qualifying wrapping up here. Going to get an interesting one just after tonight's race by the time we get through the rest of the week. But tonight, we're set to see how things go from Iowa Speedway. Tonight's pole award, once again for this series, brought to you by Shortstop, which has been serving Northridge for 20-plus years. Levi Allen is your fastest driver in the qualifying with a 23.505. Larry Bell was in second. Then it's Stats down in 3rd tonight. Alongside him, Trevor Harmon. 2 1,000ths the difference between the 2 of those trucks. Chris Bergs looked pretty solid as of late. He'll start in 5th, with Kyle Wellman in 6th tonight. 7th goes to Dalton Kilroe. Dustin Payne has looked pretty solid lately in 8th. Michael Boone's in 9th, and then it is Brian Zimmerman, the top 10.
Starting back in road number 6, it's Tanner Marr to the inside of William Bruton in that purple 83 truck. Just behind them, Cody Gibson in number 7, next to Mark Arthur in that number 12 Chevrolet Silverado. Rounding out the top 15, the last truck to qualify was Logan Wilson, and then last week's winner, Justin Levine, is going to round out the field. Just behind them, Matthew Kleinschmidt, Mike Massengill. We'll see if any of these drivers do take the field. So they got into the session at the very end, and that will round out 9 rows, 18 drivers set to take the green flag for tonight's 200 laps around Iowa Speedway.
Remember, tonight's coverage for your pit pole award brought to you by Shortstop, the Italian restaurant with pizza, subs, and pasta. But now we look to see who's able to deliver a race victory. What are your keys to victory, Cade, when it comes to Iowa Speedway?
I think you're going to have to find a way to be good on the short run and the long run. That seems like a little bit of a cop-out, but I think you're going to see some attrition. I think there's going to be quite a few restarts, and you've got to be able to capitalize, because when that green flag drops, you have a huge opportunity to go out, gain track position, the field is bunched up. But if we do see a bunch of those green flag laps back to back to back, you got to be able to maintain speed, save the tires a little bit, work yourself in traffic, maybe find a way to move up to a second groove, you know, especially if you're getting through some lap cars. Not a very long circuit, only 7/8 of a mile means at some point, I think the leader's going to catch the tail end of the pack on a long run, and how they navigate through that traffic is going to play a factor into how those top drivers shake out by the end of the night.
And so as we get set for the start, race control making the last qualifications, your stages listed on the top of your screen. Again, that's going to be 30 and 90 for tonight. So a very quick first stage here at Iowa. Then about a decent amount of time on the second run, 110 laps in that final run to the checkered flag here this evening. Remember, 65% fuel when it comes to the series. May see some pit stops during stage 2 before we get to a stage caution. But the field itself is just about all set to go for tonight's coverage of Blazing Pedals. As up at the front, it's Allen Bell ready to control this pack. Pace car is off. Happy to have you with us here on Green Flag TV from Newton, Iowa. Green is out. We're underway. Good start for Allen up at the front of the field. A great start, in fact. Already you're half a second up. The rest of the field tries to sort itself up. Dalton Kilroe once was battling with Harmon and Payne, as you see the clearance by Kilroe.
And that's going to leave Trevor Harmon, that first truck, stuck on the outside. We'll see if he can hang out there. Actually, now it's going to be Dalton Kilroe as he willingly moves to that position, trying to get on the right rear of the 81 of Dustin Ping, as we see immediately the clean air, clean track coming into play for Levi Allen, setting that fastest lap. That's going to be key all day, maximizing that track position. If you don't have to deal with anybody else, you can go out and run your line and set those fast laps. So as this battle right here, they want to shake this out as quick as they can so they can get back to running those great laps, just like Alan Wilson working the throttle
turn 4
to come off the corner.
Trevor Harmon in the grass. 16 went off the circuit. We're back to racing. No troubles for the caution, I should say. But it is troubles for Harmon into the grass.
Just got loose. That is exactly what we saw in qualifying. Very, very easy to use too much throttle. The rear tires just can't handle it on low air pressures, and that 16 truck came around. I believe Harmon's going to be able to come back from that one. I mean, he's got 196 laps to do it, but as we ride along with him, he could tell that truck was going to step up, counter-steered it back to the right, and had it planted by the time he hit the grass. Overall, I would say pretty good save from the driver of the 16, but he is all the way back to the tail of the field.
Take a look at Logan Wilson, who's amongst those trying to make some moves, by the way. 76 having a little bit of wiggles, but again, a lot of time during the qualifying, actually, to add some extra practice time, which technically you can do that, but he definitely did. Yo, we have troubles. Justin Levine, winner from last week. One of the winningest drivers in the history of the series, having some problems, and he went sliding, avoiding Tennermar.
Similar issue to Harmon, but that 3 truck had to crank the wheel to avoid contact with Marr, and he keeps it out of the inside pit wall. Great job wheeling that truck to get it pointed in the right direction. Can you believe he's less than 9 seconds back of Levi Allen after essentially taking a shortcut? You see the door opens, he gets on the throttle, realizes little too much, and from there he is just along for the ride. But throttles up at the last moment, keeps that car off the wall. Reminds me of Jimmy Johnson at Dover that one time. Very similar to that situation. And luckily, Levine has a clean truck for at least for now.
Yeah, Levine, you're referring to 9 victories coming into tonight in 24 starts in his history of the series. Not a lot of sample size, but he's usually been able to find his way to the front. Looking at Cody Gibson, Dalton Kilroe in a battle. This is for the 6th position. Remember, Gibson had a lot of struggles in qualifying. He's actually, right now, one of the fastest trucks on the track to start the race.
is able to use that outside line to get around Dalton Kilrow, like we saw a couple of other trucks earlier, puts it on that left rear quarter panel, is able to carry more momentum onto the straightaways and pull away. Not a very big track, but you do have enough straight line time to be able to build up momentum on corner exit and use it to clear somebody down the straight. Still only 1 car length between those two, so we'll see if Gibson can keep laying down fast laps, or if he's pushed a little bit too hard at the beginning of this run, he might find some tire wear coming back to bite him at about 10 laps, and that'll bring Kilrow right back to the deck lid of that 7 truck.
Well, taking your time to make sure you have the speed here. We're already a third of the way through stage 1 after all. Bolt on the next set afterwards, but no one's been able to put a stick to Allen. Right now, running 24 flats. His average has been about 24.090 the past 5 to start. Allen, been very difficult to reel on down. Butcher Benjamin, Berg, Payne, all in a line, have not made any progress for the lead.
Taylor Butcher Benjamin has run some good laps, though. He's close to Levi Allen, losing just a couple of hundredths per lap, but over the length of this stage, those will add up, and it's going to become a big gap. I think because we have that stage caution coming now in just 18 laps, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Chris Berg, Dustin Ping, those guys are going to have an opportunity to learn a little bit here and hit the reset button on the next restart and maybe be able to stick a little bit closer to Levi Allen. As we see right here, Dustin Ping learning what the outside wall feels like, tags it just a little bit with that right rear quarter panel, but he's able to keep that truck straight and ahead of Logan Wilson. Ping now is holding on to the 4th position for the moment, but Logan Wilson giving him all he can handle.
All of them keep it pretty clean in terms of the rhythm here. A little bit of argy-bargy back here, though, near contact with Levine, Harmon. They're also trying to battle with Mike Massengill. It's one of the Blackhawk Motorsports entries. Oh, big checkup as a result for Levine, running the 3 tonight. Try to take them up the middle. A little bit of speed overlap, if you will, as there goes Levine for the setup.
And he's going to be able to cut down to the inside in that tri-oval. Going to look to the inside, turn 1. We'll see if Harmon can stay there with momentum on the outside, both of them in that smoother asphalt. But Levine is going to be able to get clear, and Harmon doesn't quite have anything to come back to him, so we'll look back up to this battle. Now for the 4th position, still Ping holding off Wilson. We talk about those trucks at the back. Those two, again, Levine and Harmon, recovering from early race incidents. No damage to those trucks, but a lot of lost time and a lot of added heat to those tires when both of those trucks in individual events got sideways. So we'll see. They're probably going to want to bolt on 4 new ones when we come down for the stage, halfway through stage number 1, as Logan Wilson finally gets to the inside of Dustin Ping.
Able to get some chances there. The NT&L machine having a little bit of a close moment. But right now, Wilson, in terms of his pace, is up there with a lot of the race leaders. He is one of those in 20th in points with 8 starts on the season. That includes 1 provisional, I believe. But just 1 top 10 all season for the 76. Tonight seems to be a night where he might be able to get some decent points here. And he's doing a good job with this fight, trying to get 4th, and now gets it up to the P4 position with the slide.
I'm curious to see if that's going to open up a hole for Gibson to get to the inside of Dustin Ping, but that 7 truck has to tuck back up into line, and now Ping is going to try to prevent the backsliding as maybe a little bit of a lane on the bottom. We saw Gibson clip the white line just a little bit. Technically, you can go down there. It's not out of bounds, but it'll upset the truck a ton if you put that left front tire down on the apron. Now looking at that 7 truck from the point of view, or if Kilrow had a passenger, this is what their point of view would be. He's pretty close. I think Kilrow, a truck that's going to be pretty good on the long run, so I don't know how much we'll see him gain on this first stage. But as we get later in this race, we have a 60-lap second stage and, like we said, 110 laps in that final stage. I think that's where we'll see Kilrow really shine, as he's now looking at those trucks side by side in front of him.
Allen still holds on in front, but Gibson looking to try and get a chance to wrap around the inside of Ping. 7, looking for the top 5. Does he take it here? A slide out of the corner? No. And that's the tough part, is top allows you to fend for a fair bit. And it's of part of the contrast over the years where it used to be, when it comes to Iowa, a top wrapping track in 3 and 4. It's gone to, at this point, be, oh, hold on, Payne near contact as the 7th slid up.
And that's going to allow Kilroe to sneak into this battle. He gets to the inside of Ping. Ping now going backwards from where he started. This is going to drop him all the way back to that 7th position. If he can't hang on to it, nearly grabs the outside wall on corner exit. It's going to be a fight down in 1 and 2 where I think we really do have 2 lanes established. We'll see how that changes if the track cools off into the night. But for the moment, they're going to stay side by side pretty much even all the way into turn number 3. That's Ping on the outside of Dalton Kilroe.
Now fighting hard. Oh, wow. Wilson and Berg stay side by side. Berg, I think, recognizes the speed. That's a position change for 3rd. Cloud's going to really shuffle the track temperature possibly here in a moment. We're at near 100 at the moment. Remember, we're +5 from qualifying already over the course of this race. We still have a few laps for the end of the stage. Wilson, tech issue where he nearly slammed the wall. Payne nearly slammed Dalton Kilroe up the track.
Dalton Kilroe, I think, grabbed the wall just a little bit either way, had to pedal it and lost a lot of momentum. That is going to stick him back in the 7th position as we are racing towards the end of the stage. 5 to go. Let's ride along and see what happened. Kilroe tries to get to the outside. Ping, I think, gets loose and has to correct it. And yes, Dalton Kilroe does get a little bit of damage on the right side of that truck. Shouldn't cause him any damage, but once again, we see Dustin Ping slide it out of turn 4. He is having a handful with that number 81 truck. I don't know if it's something where he's burnt the rear tires off of it or what, but at the moment he is having a rough time, as in front of him he now sees a battle. Chris Berg trying not to lose another position, makes contact with Cody Gibson and pushes that Cheetos machine all the way up the racetrack.
Apologies there, and Gibson says, I'm trying to give that back to you. Now let's find out if that's going to ring true. There's the 66 to the bottom. Gibson preferring to run up on the top, coming off the exit. Does get the give and take as Gibson now up to 4th. Coming to 3 to go in the stage. Look at Berg having issues though. Nearly spun it out. That's what happens when you run too low there.
And it's the same thing we've been seeing, same song, second verse. Now you're dealing with tires that don't have maximum grip, and he got loose on corner exit right in front of Dalton Kilroe. Kilroe did a great job getting that car checked up, woed up, didn't run the 66 over. He's going to be able to take that position with an intact front bumper, so good move from Kilroe. Lost a lot of momentum doing it. Good news for him, though. We are 2 laps away from resetting the field, as this time by it's only going to be 1 lap to go in stage number 1. Levi Allen has checked out. He's got nearly a 1-second lead on the entire field, doing it from the pole and making it look dominant early on.
It's coming up to the end of the stage's upcoming time by. Levi Allen, welcome to the series. How about that? Immediately starts off with pace and then some. Holds the gap by about a half a second to a second the entire run. Gonna be hard to beat unless you find a way to take away the clean air. Levi Allen dominates stage 1 from Iowa. Second goes the way of Stats Butcher Benjamin. Wilson, Gibson, Payne, Kilroe, Berg, Zimmerman, Bell, and Wellman were in the top 10. And this will allow the field, if they so choose, which we likely will see chosen, pit stop time.
You've got a big decision here to make. I think most of the field is going to come in. Do you take 2 or do you take 4? I think if we're seeing the track temp go up and we're seeing drivers sliding around, most of them will opt to take 4. But you mentioned the only way you're going to beat that Levi Allen machine is if you find a way to take away his track position and hang on to it. So maybe a dress rehearsal for later. You could throw 2 tires on now. But again, I'm not the one driving the truck, so I don't know how bad those tires are hurting. We'll see what the decision is. But again, most of the field should be on pit road for at least 2, if not 4 tires this time by.
Let's keep an eye on where the decisions are. Of note, 1 driver is out of the race. Mark Arthur had tech issues to start. Trying to join back in, then left. So he is your one and only driver off and out, with, technically speaking, a DNS on the evening. But as they work through the dust clouds, let's see who goes on to 2 or 4. Wilson, one of the first in their pit stall. Of note, Allen and Butcher Benjamin do have their pit road stalls in the middle of the corner. You see already, Allen not going up on the jacks. I think he's taking fuel only. Yes, he is. We had 4 sets in the pit tonight, and Allen elects to not put on a set at all. He's the only one that didn't go on the jacks.
And that's going to be really interesting to see that play out. I didn't think there was a chance that somebody was going to do that, but if he's trying to save a set, or if he was able to save those right side tires enough by having clean air, he's going to be able to hang on. We'll have about a 60-lap stage until the next planned break in the action. But if we do get some cautions here, it might help Levi Allen's strategy. I'm really curious to see how this one's going to play out, because I mentioned short run speed being necessary at the top of the show, but it hasn't looked like these guys are wanting to wreck it. This race has a green flag look about it, and if this next stage goes that way, I don't think it's going to work out for Levi Allen, but I've been wrong before, so we'll see how this works out. TBB first driver out on tires. Looks like the rest of the field took 4. Not a whole lot of shakeup in the field behind them. Zimmerman may have only taken 2. We'll check in on that, but other than that, I believe it was 4 tires throughout the entire field.
Yeah, can confirm we all had outside of Allen pit stops that lasted 15 seconds, give or take. We did have Justin Levine have to get some repairs done, I think, for 28 seconds. Kyle Willman came down for a top off. So that means for the rest of the field, a restart. Simple as that, right? Well, we have, by the time we get back rolling, 55 laps to go in the stage. This is going to be a test on the fuel mileage to see where things last, and I think there's a telling sign that we have so many people topping off here.
Yeah, Mara Harmon coming back in. I believe that's Wellman coming back into the pits. I don't know if there was some damage on that 42 truck as well. He was in the top 10 at the end of the stage, so giving up a decent bit of track position to do this. It'll be interesting to see. You know, this fuel tank, it's a little bit unsure of exactly what the window is because it is a 65%. You can't just use that standard fuel calculation that you would use when you would come and run an official or something here at Iowa. But we got lights off on the pace truck. We're about to hit the restart zone here. Those guys need to get out of pit lane.
They got to hurry. They're on the back straight away. They're going to be at the very tail end, obviously. Wellman topped off again, is not going to be with the pack. Everyone else, though, now I'm going to have better tires than their race leader. Allen's off and away, but watch for the battle. Oh, and look at Wellman trying to catch up the field and spun it in the grass. Now for second, Wilson's going for it.
Wilson looking to the inside. Butcher Benjamin trying to get that run off the top. Opens up the bottom for Logan Wilson. Can he sneak through the bottom and maybe grab this lead? I think Levi Allen is going to have an advantage for these first couple of laps, having a little bit extra heat in those tires. We talk about spinning on corner exit, but now Butcher Benjamin contact with the 7. Wilson to the inside is going to take the lead from Levi Allen.
Logan Wilson to the race lead for the first time tonight. Able to power his way to the point. Now here comes Dalton Kilrow, ready to power his way on the inside, looking for second. And that was the tough choice Allen elected to make here for tire sets for later. 3 wide behind. Payne, Amonso's on the bottom. Butcher Benjamin backed out of it. Kilrow's running away with second. Allen is well up the track and struggling.
And he's been getting that truck in that light gray concrete, or the old asphalt, I should say, where they haven't laid down the new stuff, and it just doesn't have a whole lot of grip up there. It is bumpy, it is loose. I bet you there's some marbles that's been put down. It has dropped him all the way back to the 8th position in the wall, and gonna lose another couple of spots. That's Berg and I believe Kleinschmidt, and here comes the rest of the field. So he has gone from sweeping the laps led in stage number 1 to giving up a ton of track position. And unless he makes a stop in the middle of this stage for at least a dash of fuel, he's going to have to go a long ways before they're going to be able to work on that truck.
All that's to say, with Levine's case here in this middle of the pack, he's been able to recover from the back of the field up to the top 5 after getting his truck worked on. He's not one of those who topped off. He's taking a different approach, though. Gibson using the apron for some reason. Levine nearly runs him over trying to build the run. You have to be able to make the right choice there, Caden. It's so difficult, especially with the way Gibson is attacking and charging off this exit.
And the 7 has been super aggressive ever since we dropped the green flag for the beginning of stage number 2. We saw the contact with the 10 of TBB. Now Butcher Benjamin is all the way back in the 7th position, way up the track that time for Cody Gibson. That's going to open the door for Justin Levine. Really impressed with what he's been able to do to get back up to the top 5 this quickly from the back to the front. Now side by side in front of him, the 7 has to back out of the throttle just a little bit, and that opens the top groove for the 3. And now Justin Levine is through to the 4th position.
And he's going to be one of the threats to win possibly now with the way things are looking, obviously. He's got the track position. He's got the fastest pace on the racetrack on this part of the run. It's just going to be the difficult part here on how does he make these moves without destroying the tires. So just be a little bit patient here, okay? Not over-abusing here in the case of Levine.
Yeah, and he's able to get close, and wow, a huge moment from Dustin Ping is going to open up the door, and this should be a pretty easy pass to make for that 3 truck. Now getting up to the 3rd position, kind of slides up in front of him a little bit, kind of a slide job there. This is the battle now between Kleinschmidt and Berg for P8. Farther back in the pack. But yeah, I think Justin Levine is working his way forward. Hopefully he can continue that momentum, and we'll see how the strategy shakes out for him. He's in a much less precarious position than he was a few laps ago when he was dealing with battles like this. This is Wellman looking to pass Allen for what is basically last. So Levi Allen has done the inverse of the last to first challenge, and he has dropped himself all the way to the tail end of the field. Look at that, 1 second per lap on 30 lap older tires.
I understand the reasoning here. It's an understandable reason when you consider it here, Cade, because if it becomes a caution period later on or requires multiple stops later, which I think might, unless you're heavy saving in stage 3, I think he's banking on if he has a late race restart, he'd be basically one of the only ones with the set left.
You've already burned a set at the end of stage 1. You might have to burn one here in the middle of stage 2, but you're definitely going to burn one at the end of this stage. So you're going to have 2 sets left for the 110-ish lap run to the end. You'll probably use both your sets then. So yeah, if it goes green, for the most part, Levi Allen is going to be in very rough shape. But if there is a little bit of tire strategy at the end, this is a plan that could work out for him. The only thing that I worry about is if a couple of trucks get lapped in this run. We see a lot of guys getting loose, making mistakes. If they lose a lot of track time but keep it green, we could see he and multiple other drivers go at least 1 lap down over the course of the next 40 laps, and that would lock him 1 lap down, and that would essentially make this strategy completely out the window.
Definitely. And that's the risk you take when you make a call like that, and now we'll find out down the long road how things go. Pain a little moment there. Butcher Benjamin gets the battles, but some of the errors back here. Scrapping outside the top 10. Michael Boone amongst those, looking to the outside of the 6 Sigma car.
He's going to get a nice run out of the corner and take it all the way to the bottom of the front straightaway. Going to pull even with Tanner Bell and pretty easily take away the 11th position. We'll see if he's going to be able to slide up and get clear as Marr trying to build momentum now. He's in that 2nd groove, but elects not to move to the inside and try to retake that position. Tanner Marr for the moment going to settle back in the 12th position. Something that I do want to point out though, even though it sucks for Levi Allen, it's good for us up here watching the race as the gap between first and second is much smaller than it was during the last stage. Dalton Kilro's been able to keep it pretty close to Logan Wilson. We can see Wilson, and just behind him, that black and red truck, the number 41 of Kilro, is right there. I mentioned him having good long-run pace. I mentioned him staying out of trouble, and he's put himself in position. If we go green here, Justin, Dalton Kilro is going to be able to challenge for this lead.
Yeah, I think right now he's in a decent spot here. He's near identical on pace. He's been one of the drivers that's raced very well whenever we've seen him in this series for a while now. And right now this season, he is, interestingly enough, one of those in the multi-win club. And right now, just try to shape things up a little bit different. He's better on long run in some of these races this season. Right now, I think he's just waiting to see if Wilson burns up the tires here, with Wilson having his best race of the year.
Up the tires or makes a mistake. I think that's been the number one way that I've seen passes happen, is somebody makes mistakes, and I think there was just one right there. That is the 15 of Michael Boone, way up and out of line. He's going to lose a couple of positions. We saw him in 11th, and he's given up one to Marr and one to Harmon. We'll go back and take a look at it. That's down the back straightaway. He's already in the fence.
Yeah, another issue back there for some, and now continue to rumble along here. Past 30-plus minutes in the racing action here tonight. Payne is out in fourth position, where Gibson's trying to get the run. And this is the type of track, with the way the grip levels are, you need to find a way, poke your way to the bottom. You can get decent runs. You're used to get massive runs off the top with the old pavement, but here it's not such as cut and dry we see. See a little bit of a boost there for Payne. But Gibson just has that ability with the white lining around the bottom, take the short distance around, have a chance to find a way to clear by a couple corners.
And you just got to work on a guy now, right? With this new pavement, you can't go in and expect the pass to take one quarter to complete. Right here, Gibson's going to get clear of Dustin Pink, but that was kind of a multi-lap project. It was a mini task that he had to settle down, work on him, one lap, then the next, and eventually had pulled alongside enough to get clear on corner exit. Similar story back here. That was the 9th spot going to Chris Berg as we move to the front of the field, where Justin Levine has run down Dalton Kilro. I think Kilro has lost a little bit of ground. He's made a couple of small mistakes that have gotten that back end stepped out, and it's opened the door to battle for the second position.
He's kept up the fight pretty well here. Has been able to get the advantage. They've been too equal. Back and forth on lap times. They're identical 3 laps ago, in fact. Think in the case of Levine, though, small differences, trying to run the higher line, get some clean air on the front nose. It's just not working. Actually, initially chip away. That time went a little deeper. Kilroe gets the response back off exit. It's so difficult to get the runs built up with the aerodynamics of these trucks these days. We're seeing the challenges with a lot of these people in the pack. Unless you're massively different on speed, it's hard to build the pass.
It is, and these trucks punch such a hole through the air too. They've got a lot of drag, not a ton of horsepower to overcome that. And so even at a track that's only 7/8 miles like this one right here, you know, a short track in the most typical sense, under a mile, but still you've got higher speeds, you've got a big truck, you've got a big wake, and even with a hot track, aerodynamics still incredibly important. We're going to expect that temp to go down a little bit. It'll add a little bit more grip to the racing surface, which will bring those lap times down. But for the moment, we are slip sliding around and still nearly 30 laps away from the next stage break. And it looks to me like we could go green all the way until then. We'll see how the fuel situation is, though. That's kind of our last big question mark in stage number 2.
Yeah, we're already about 30 laps into the run. Normally, you can go about 90 or so in a full tank. So in theory, we're talking maybe 50-ish, maybe 55, just about the length of the stage after the restart. That leads to the question, how is this going to go for the top-offs? Well, here's the tough part of those on the top-off strategy. Those drivers are still 11th and 12th.
Yeah, those ones that have come in, I think Kyle Wellman was the other one who came in like back in the 14th position. We saw him going through the grass on the restart. They just haven't built up that track position, and I think that you can back off the throttle enough, and I mean, you're trying to save tires anyway, right? You're not going out and running push laps every single lap. If you're expecting about 55 straight green flag laps, you're not going to be on max burn anyhow. So I would imagine it's pretty easy to save a couple of laps, sit there in traffic. You know, you want to work the throttle and be nice and calm on corner exit anyways. So it shouldn't be too hard to get the full length of the stage. Again, essentially considering that we restarted with technically less than 60 laps to go in the stage itself. So I think it's makeable. I think it's doable. I think just about everybody is going to do it. The extra insurance, I'm sure, is comforting for those drivers. But like you said, none of the three that came in to top off have yet to break back into the top 10. And I don't think they're going to gain any track position because of it.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the way things are going to shape up or the way things are looking here on this long green flag run. Levine, defending Gibson, scrapes the wall down. Don't think it caused any aero damage, but it did scrape some of the decals off the rear end of the three. Here it comes, the run from Gibson.
And the three was really close to Kilrow. I'm curious how he lost that little bit of ground. And Cody Gibson was pushing really hard on the short run, so I'm super impressed that he still has the grip in the tires now to attack Justin Levine and basically get this spot back. We've already seen this fight happen once, and it went the way of the three, but now it's happening again. And it looks like Cody Gibson is going to move himself up into the bottom rung of the podium.
So, with that in mind here, look to reset. Coming up towards 22 to go on the stage. For those just tuning in, Wilson over Kilrow, Gibson, Levine, and Payne. Butcher Benjamin in 6, Zimmerman, Berg, Kleinsmith, and Bell are your current top 10. Harmon, right now battling well with Marr and company, just outside that top 10 as we run here for this evening's action. There is a few different things as well to think about too. Remember Allen. You know how big this strategy is off the mark for him? Being the dominant truck to what he is now. He is 18 and a half seconds behind. He could get lapped in by the end of the stage.
And I'm curious to see what the math is. I think we're running lap time somewhere around the 24, maybe 25 second bracket on average. And so as long as he can lose less than 1 second per lap for the remainder, or less than a half second, I should say, we'll see. He's actually managed to balance it out pretty good. Look at that, a 25 even to a 25-3 for Levi Allen. So luckily the tires kind of plateaued and he's not plummeting as much as he was earlier in the run. I'm not worried about that truck going a lap down. I'm worried about another truck going a lap down because he gets the free pass. He'll still be in an okay position. But if Wilson goes up in laps, say a guy like Bruton or Massengill, it's going to make it really, really hard for Levi Allen to keep himself in this race. 18 laps away, I don't think Wilson's going to catch the 20 truck, so he should be okay. That was my concern at the beginning of the stage, but I think for now Levi Allen is safe, and he'll have himself an extra set of tires in the bank in case this race gets a little chaotic towards the end.
So now we see where things will go for everybody else here. As they all plot and plan around the racetrack, Kilrow still stays within the flats. Wilson still hasn't majorly fallen off here. Behind them, the battles are back on. Look at Harmon.
Trevor Harmon's one of those guys trying to work his way through the field. He has been dealing with being stuck in the back of the pack all race after an early mistake and then a fuel strategy. Now passing Matthew Kleinschmidt. Can Kleinschmidt cross him over? No, not quite. And that's going to move Harmon up solidly into the 9th position. I'm curious how high he's going to be able to climb before the next caution, because I know he's got a lot of pace in that 16 truck, but he's looked a little bit sketchy in traffic. So right there, he's got it together. He made that pass, and now he has his sights set on the 66 of Chris Berg, somebody else who has a pretty good amount of pace.
Yeah, he's looking Pretty steady Berg has been, I think, but it's going to take some effort again. William Bruden back on the field. Right now, trying to battle it out with Kyle Wellman, who is, again, having a horrific weekend. The 42 is, for whatever reason, just falling off a cliff on pace as of late. Like, I don't know what's happening with him. He's gone from being a contender for wins from last year and doing so on the start to this.
And right here, I give him just a little bit of a pass because there was some crazy shenanigans that happened on the last restart. But he wasn't super duper sporty in qualifying or the first stage either, to your point. So here's hoping that Kyle Wellman can get it turned around. He's got a really cool truck, and he's had a lot of success over the his last races. But right here, he's in a battle for the 14th position with William Bruden, and they are 14 seconds off of the race lead, which is just not where Kyle Wellman wants to be.
I don't think it's where anybody wants to be, if anything. As you would expect with this type of a race, you want to be at the front. You want to be the one dominating. You want to be the one contending here. But it's so tricky to actually do that in practice because you can say a lot when you're outside the truck on, oh, I can do this, but you end up having a much different perspective when you're actually racing.
Got to have a bird's eye view of the race in my mind. This is what I think, you know, if I'm racing or I'm thinking about a race, I got to get myself out of the driver's seat and look down at myself and think, okay, if I was watching this, what would I need to be doing? Where would I need to be? Would I need to be saving tires? Would I need to be saving fuel? What do I need to be doing? There's so many different options that you have as a driver or managing a race. And Wellman, I think, just has to maybe get back to the fundamentals, put those small pieces together so that he can start going back out and attacking these things. So, meanwhile, this is a pretty good battle right here, still involving Trevor Harmon. He's trying to continue to work his way forward. I think he did a good job saving tires at the front end of this run, and now he's able to reap some awards and probably going to get some stage points.
Yeah, absolutely. Played this out very well, although Kilroe, with less than 10 to go, would like to rip away the stage if he can. Let's keep it close. Will there be any opportunities to go fourth here? Kilroe's trying to attack the outside, trying to find a way to get the runs off the corner.
If he can build momentum, he's going to be able to challenge for this stage win, but they got to be careful not to get together or do anything too crazy because that could put the battle for the stage win right in the lap of Cody Gibson. They don't want to have to deal with more trucks than they need to. Meanwhile, this battle's still raging for the 8th position. Chris Berg trying to keep momentum on the outside of Harmon, but Harmon's got that Tundra to the inside, and they've got Brian Zimmerman in their sights as well. Two great battles going on with just 8 laps to go in stage 2.
Still 8 laps to work with as you see a lot of the drivers fight at the back end of the group, at the top 10 at least. Harmon still showing improvement. For Trevor Harmon, top 10 of the points we talked about earlier on. 4 top 10s after all this season. It's 11 starts. He has had himself in the 60s for incident marks on the season. He's top 10 in that category also. But tonight, fight's been put on. And now he's getting a little bit of incidents there with Zimmerman also in the mix.
And that got really worrisome. Now we're going to go 3 wide as Berg looks through the middle. He only had about half a straightaway to catch his breath before he was right back in the mess. Now he goes all the way down to the bottom as Harmon force clears Zimmerman. As Berg's going to get to the inside. Harmon's going to drive away from all 3 of them. And now it's a 3-car fight for the 8th position. Zimmerman got clear of Kleinschmidt. Now he's side by side with Chris Berg.
Might be a little bit of fuel save going on hearing. A couple drivers are in the 25-4s. Is it that close? Trying to figure out who may or may not be on the clutch here, but we are starting to see a few more drivers back it off a little bit. Kleinschmidt taking advantage here. He's not one of those in the clutch at the moment, can confirm. But he is one of those saying, hey, I'd like to take a spot, please. I'd like 9th. Oh, wow. 7 would like 2nd here because they have stopped gaining again on Wilson.
And once again, the gap has built up. Now this time by, it'll be just 3 laps to go in the stage. Keep in mind, all of these battles are in position to gain some stage points when we throw this next caution flag in a few laps. So you want to maximize your points. That means you got to get track position now. Here's the battle for second. Kilro's open up the bottom. Gibson is within a second. So is Levine of the leader, Wilson. All of them trying to get max stage points as Gibson throws it to the inside of turn 3. Going to be door to door with Dalton Kilro on corner exit.
Here we go on the inside. Pit road is now closed for the stage. Race control is confirmed, so if you can't make enough fuel, you better hope that you don't run out of gas here. Gibson looking to take to the inside. Again, Kilrow allowing him to take the poke for 3. Now Gibson's there for 4. A squeeze out of the corner. That's enough to defend for Kilrow. Coming up to 1 to go on the stage. Now Levine's got a chance to rip away the spot instead. He zips around easily around Gibson. Cody Gibson backs it off hard.
He might be running out of fuel. He might be low on gas. I don't know. We'll see. Remember, you got to have enough to get back around to pit road once the yellow flag comes out as well. Looks like Gibson's in okay shape, but Wilson coming out of 4 is going to win stage number 2.
Logan Wilson gets the stage over Kilrow, Levine, Gibson, Payne, Tara Butcher Benjamin, Trevor Harmon. A lot of people cutting the engines off immediately. Berg, Kleinsmith, Zimmerman, the top 10. And are they going to have enough gas to make it all the way around?
They got to hope the pace car comes up quick. We know it was an immediate pit under the first stage where they got behind the pace car essentially right away. I think Justin Levine, he's out of gas. He's riding down on the apron. That truck is completely dry. So is Cody Gibson. Gibson pitting under a closed pit. Levine's going to have the same thing. And this is why you wanted to come top off at the end of that previous stage. These guys won a track position. They got the points, but they're going to have to pay for it now with a pit stop and a penalty as Logan Wilson and the rest of the leaders come around to make their legitimate stops.
Oh my goodness. Levi Allen is out, and really just had the toe on the access road. 3 different drivers have run out of gas. Will anyone else run out coming down pit road? It looks like everyone else making it. But as you said, some might get penalties here. Gibson got one. Levine somehow did not. Wonder if that's a different. But either way, that might include EOLs. Regardless, everyone's into the boxes here. Should see everyone take tires again. That will leave them with about 2 sets for the stage.
So now we know you can make it exactly 60 laps on your tank of fuel, and the tires aren't going to want to last much longer either. So you're going to be able to split this last stage just about in half as we got a battle for the exit of the pits. Is it going to be Kilrow or Wilson? Logan Wilson wins the race off pit road by just a nose. It's a good thing he's driving a Chevy Silverado because they got a little extra splitter on there, I think, and that might have been the difference between first and second coming out of the pits.
So everyone gets off pit road. We're almost at the 1 hour complete mark when it comes to tonight. Here's a look how close that got. That was by about a couple feet, and that is why Wilson stays in control of this field. But the lights now on, still on the iRacing pace car with the sun starting to set. As they all battle a belt, it's going to get interesting how this restart fares out, isn't it, Cade?
It really is. I think now is going to be the first time all day where we're really going to see what this track is, why it's so challenging, and what these drivers can do with it. Because in the first stage, we knew we had a 30-lap sprint. Second stage, we knew we were going to have to save a little bit of fuel. Now, you have a pretty clear window, right? You can split this thing, maybe 54, 54, get yourself to the end, no problem. You can maybe go a little bit longer all the way to 60 on your first stint and then come in for the final 45 laps. You have a couple of options so you can pace yourself. for the beginning of the third stage. If you want to save some tire, if you want track position, you have some options for what you want to do behind the wheel. So this is going to be a big determining factor. Of course, it's all going to get kicked off with a restart. We've seen how loose these trucks are at the drop of the green flag, and we've seen how hairy it can get in traffic. And once again, it's going to be Logan Wilson, Dalton Kilroe leading us to it. Levi Allen still on pit road. Gibson serving that penalty. He and Levine all the way to the rear of the field. Mark Arthur trying to rejoin the track. We mentioned he did not start, but managed to fix his connection issues. He's back in the race, 80 laps down. All 18 cars still on track as we're going to take the green flag with 105 laps to go.
So it's about a two-stopper to the end here. Going to be a close one on the mileage. Remember what Levi Allen trying to catch the field here. Mark Arthur did make the racetrack, by the way. He is 80 laps down and is back in the race. Back underway up front as the field works its way through sunset. We'll have to keep an eye on if a penalty gets cleared for the 7. He is still listed as a black flag on the sim here, and no one's cleared it yet.
Very hairy situation under yellow. Now that we're under green, it hasn't gotten cleaned up a whole lot. Immediately battle for the second position. Dustin Ping lunges to the inside of Kilroe, but can't quite get clear. And if they get door-to-door, that's going to bring Taylor Butcher-Benjamin into the battle, and it could allow Logan Wilson to check out once again. We have seen how dangerous it can be once somebody gets away. They are hard to catch. Logan Wilson already 4/10 ahead as Cody Gibson comes down pit road. That is a contender who's going to go at least one lap down serving that penalty.
So he did not get it cleared. He had to serve it. Ran another lap or two. He would have gotten disqualification. Payne is up to a race-high second. Well, Gibson had to go to the pit stall to help serve the penalty. And so, disaster striking. And now, at least lose a lap, if not two, with the penalty box. That being said, no one else is really in this fuel save early on in the run. Payne is on the push, looking to try and get his first lead lap of the night.
And if Ping can take this lead right away, he can run away, pit a little bit before the halfway mark at this stage, and try to maintain that track position. He's looking for it now. Jumps to the inside. He's going to be even with Logan Wilson as they come off of the corner. This is the biggest challenge that Wilson has faced all night, and it comes in the form of Dustin Ping, the number 81 Silverado, looking to the bottom. Can he use that shorter distance to get around Wilson? It's going to be a tall task and a big challenge. 100 laps to go. We are halfway here at Iowa as Logan Wilson hangs it out in turn 1.
Look at the battle. On the inside, near contact a couple times over. Now it's Payne to the inside. Wilson tries to pinch. A weeble, a bobble, a wiggle, a bobble. And now it's Wilson who stays up on the outside. Sent back for Payne. Payne to clear, not clear yet.
Wilson was able to get the truck rotated late in turn 2 to come off the top, down in a little bit of a diamond that kept him at the door of the 81, but for a moment, Ping was clear. I think he's going to look to slide up on exit, and he does, but he gets super loose, and now there's a wreck. It's Matthew Kleinschmidt.
Matthew Kleinschmidt around with Payne as the leader. Tanner Marr takes the claim. Tanner Marr says he was 3 wide. Here's the thing. It was very faint. Justin Levine was at least 2 truck lengths below the 4. As in, 2 lanes worth. That was a big separation to say I got squeezed.
We'll see. It looks like, yeah, Marr is far enough up that he has the truck with the right sides on that division between the new asphalt and the old asphalt, and just doesn't give a whole lot of room to the 59. That being said, there was also a lane above Kleinschmidt, so if you're going to assign blame there, I'm glad that you are not me, because that means that I don't have to be the one to decide whose fault that was. Kleinschmidt and others going to come down to pit We ride along with Levine. He got 2 positions and a caution. 97 to go. We will see. We'll see exactly what happens strategy-wise here. A lot of the leaders staying out. Zimmerman is one of the first ones to pit.
And as you would expect, a lot of people are taking the opportunity to take the fuel here, Cade, because it's so close. This now makes sure it's a one-stopper, and you don't have to panic. Zimmerman amongst those who took tires here for some reason. Tenamar also. I don't know if I like that call of burning a set here, though.
Yeah, I think that only leaves you with one more set for the remainder of the race, and you know that you're going to have to pit one more time, at least under green. If we see yellows that split this final stage up into thirds or something, you are not going to have a set to put on there. So I would say Brian Zimmerman is probably in the worst position of anybody tire-wise. Meanwhile, it's going to be interesting to see how much of an advantage they have. It's only been about 10 laps since the restart, and not all 10 of those laps are under green. So not a huge disadvantage for Ping, Wilson, Kilroe, TBB, Levine, all the others who stayed out. But we'll see if they lose a little bit of track position to those drivers that pit. I guess the only one on tires would be Brian Zimmerman. Everybody else just has a little bit more insurance with fuel, so if they don't have to save, that's the only way they would be able to gain a little bit more track position. Cody Gibson, the beneficiary of the free pass on that last caution, so he goes from 3 laps down to -2, and that kind of just adds a little bit of salt in the wound for Levi Allen, who looked so dominant early on, but had to toe to pit lane, went 3 laps down, and now he's not even in position to get any of those laps back.
It's a tough spot, to say the least, in their case. And a lot of cases we've seen here in the later stages now. With less than 100 laps to go past the halfway point of the race. Good option to take the opportunity to talk about Ohio and Indiana Roofing Company. Premier Roofing Contractor. They are a sister company to the Bruns Construction Enterprise. Remember, they specialize in commercial and industrial roofing and are committed to accommodating the needs of each client, offer creative solutions to meet those needs. They do a lot of different services. To learn what those services are and more, go to oiroofing.com for more information. And we're coming up to the restart, coming to 94 laps to go. Ping preparing to try and get a good launch for the inside. Logan Wilson having a solid night here tonight for him and his team. Keeping the car up, / truck, I should say, up in the front. Right in front of some of your championship competitors. Restart zone time for the green. And Kilroe got tire spin way to the inside.
Yeah, that bottom lane as a whole just did not go. This is the first time that we've seen a restart with the majority of the field on older tires, or at least slightly used tires. And that opens the door for Logan Wilson to make a charge back at the 81. The bottom lane now finally regathered, as the first battle is Levine and Taylor Butcher Benjamin side by side. I believe the lights have just come on with 93 to go. We've got a great battle for the lead and wrecking on the front straightaway.
Butcher Benjamin got turned around, no caution. 10 was in the wall. Kyle Wellman still came up and hit him.
Take a look back at it here. This was the battle. Yes, the 10 was already in the fence, and Wellman drifted all the way up. Maybe thought he was clear, and he would have been if Butcher Benjamin hadn't hit the wall and slowed down. I bet you that's what was going through the mind of the driver of the 42, but he lost a ton of momentum, a ton of track position gone. We'll see right here, he wants to tuck up behind, and by the time he gets to the wall, there is a truck there. But luckily, both of them do a pretty good job pedaling those trucks down, saving it as best they can. We are still green as Levine and Kilroe lean on each other coming down the front stretch.
We go back and forth again. Levine's had solid pace all night. We talked about lights are on, as you said. So this is going to add that extra sheen, if you will, to the circuit. Air temp starting to go down. Track temp sticking around the 90s still, though. That is usual. But it is a lower mark than a 99 during the daytime.
Yeah, it's not going to feel so much like ice. I think we'll run another 50 laps and these guys will really start to feel that the track has a little bit more grip. 10 degrees is going to be a big difference. So if we get all the way down into the high 80s, that is going to bring those lap times down and give these trucks quite a bit more grip. as Levine is going to try to get clear of Kilrow, and he does, ever slow slightly, but the crossover from Dalton Kilrow, I don't believe he's led a lap tonight, but he's looked really, really good. And here he's going to slip back to the 4th position, put him even farther out of reach of that front spot, currently held by Dustin Ping from Wilson, Levine, Kilrow, Bell, Chris Berg. That's how many laps that they have led. Ping has led the last 10. The only other drivers to lead tonight, Wilson and, of course, Levi Allen. Those 2 drivers led a bunch of laps and also won the first 2 stages. But now the race win is on the line, a little bit more important, and Dustin Ping has himself in a great position to capitalize on that, as we have a hornet's nest back here for the 9th spot.
They're not backing off each other really well here. Kleinsmith, that time gets passed by Boone. Lap cars also in the mix there, like Allen. Marr backs out of it. Allen nearly ran over Kleinsmith. Allen's going to have to be very careful here because, remember, he's not in the position to fight. He is still 3 laps down, but is racing like he's on the lead lap here.
I think he's just trying to keep himself in the race right now. Obviously, he could gain a couple of positions if there's some attrition. If cars get knocked out of the race, he'll be scored ahead of them by the time the checker flag falls. But I think he's thinking that he wanted to come out here to race. He had to spend the entire first stage. He wasn't around anybody, you know, kind of stuck up there by himself. So now he wants to go at it a little bit. And these drivers back here giving him a good fight. Hopefully, he leaves them a lot of room and they leave him a good bit of room. But he has pace. It's a huge shame that he ran out of gas and had to tow that truck back to pit lane because he was going to be in contention for the win. And I think now he at least wants to display that and have a good time doing it. He's able to get around the 11th place truck of Kleinschmidt, as he's now got the battle for 9th in front of him. I think this is the highest Michael Boone has been all night, so shout out to the driver, the 15, as he tries to hold off Tanner Marr.
So, as we're already about near halfway through the fuel run, just going around through parts of the pack, you see how things go with Kleinsmith here. Cody Gibson, for his sake, is also avoiding contact. He is one of those who is a couple laps down, but is your lucky dog as we roll. Still, as they all take some pokes, look at this fight. Yet again, some side-by-side. Tanner Marr building up some momentum with Boone trying to defend.
Marr wants that spot. He's going to use the bottom to slide right on by and get it. So move Tanner Marr up to position number 9. He's going to set his sights now on Trevor Harmon, who's got up to 8th, but he's kind of gotten stuck there. It's been a climb ever since lap 1 for Trevor Harmon, and he's not been able to gain too much more time. Back up front, here's the battle for 2nd. Wilson just a couple of lengths ahead of Justin Levine.
Yeah, nothing's been doing in terms of pass attempts. Whoever's gotten the lead off the restart ran away off the jump and then some. Is that a sign for whoever gets clean air in the pit cycle can hold off here? Levine has a chance for 2nd, though. Getting dirty air off the leader of Payne. Levine on the outside with a rip.
If he can get those right side tires hooked up here, maybe keep that car rotated all the way through the end of the corner, but they're going to make contact as Wilson gets into his left rear, but still enough momentum for Justin Levine. Give him the 2nd spot as he's going to try to set his sights on Dustin Ping. Maybe he can chase that 81 truck down. I think Levine overall has been better tonight, but Ping has the track position and the clean air advantage as Justin Levine looking for 2 in a row. And now the battle for 3rd heating up. Wilson's opened the door for Dalton Kilrow to grab a spot.
And right now, the difficulty still remains for 20 onto the positions for Wilson. A bit of movement there. And hold on there. Kilrow able to jump up a spot. Think Wilson, now that he no longer has clean air, he's just struggling with the dirty air a little bit like before. He just slammed the wall down.
You took the words right out of my mouth. As soon as he lost the lead there at the beginning of this stage, he's just not been able to have the handle on that truck. We're going to ride along board with him. He's got Dalton Kilrow at his outside, has to jerk the wheel a little bit to the left and pedaled all the way out of the throttle. I saw RPMs in the 5,000 range on the straightaway there. That's how much out of the throttle he was. And great save. There is when he smacks the wall again. Great job keeping that truck pointed in the right direction, but he's now going to open up the door for Brian Zimmerman. We mentioned he was the only one to take tires under that last yellow, had about a 6-lap green flag lap advantage on basically the rest of the field, putting himself in a dangerous position with only one set left in the pits. But if this race goes green to the end, he's going to have a good amount of speed for the next 40 or so laps. And Zimmerman's been able to work his way up to the 4th position. He is clear of Logan Wilson.
And Wilson continues to plummet after being in the top 3 basically a vast majority of the race. It's not looking good as he is not handling well his speed. Right now a 10th or 2 off the pace, the race leader for Pearson. See some of the drivers around and behind. That goes Berg and Marr. I mentioned Marr getting some opportunities right now. He is in the 8s to Berg's 9s. This is going to take away a chance for the 66 to hold on to 7th because the 4 is quicker.
Tanner Marr's also gotten around Trevor Harmon, so this is looking to be his 3rd pass here recently, but there's contact there with Chris Berg on corner exit. Berg said, "You are not clear." Basically spotted for the Ford truck with his front fender and kept that spot from Tanner Marr, at least for the moment, as Harmon's now fallen back in the clutches of Michael Boone as this side-by-side battle will not go away. Trevor Marr gonna once again try the bottom, and with them is the 2-lap down truck of Cody Gibson, who has a lot of speed. Berg gets loose, but keeps from hitting either of those 2 lead lap trucks. Excuse me, that is, yes, Gibson 2 laps down.
Yes, Gibson making the drive around, and the plummet continues with the 76. It's about 15 laps until pit stops. Not much Wilson can do except try and hold on and try and stop the bleeding if he can. He's lost 3 seconds now to the race leader. He's losing the top spot here in this one. Bell trying something a little bit different in his sake. Trying to set up a run, not close enough, although 76, again, the rears just are not connecting for him.
And I think it's a good moment to talk about that pit strategy as Logan Wilson is dirt tracking that truck. We went back racing with about 96, 97 laps to go. That was when we saw a few guys top off and we saw Brian Zimmerman take tires. So if you split the rest of the race in half, that lets you come into pit with about 49, 48 laps to go. So we should see some guys on pit road in about 20 laps. And I would imagine that most of the field can make it there on fuel. But you remember that stage that we ran was 60 laps, stage number 2. So you could theoretically wait all the way until 40 laps to go. You could theoretically pit with 60 laps to go. If you're Logan Wilson, you want tires in just 11 or 12 laps, you could save some fuel and make it all the way to the end of the race on a little bit of a short strategy. So right here, as we ride along board with Tanner Marr, that's a close battle, and this is a close battle as well. Justin Levine has ran down Dustin Ping. He's got a little bit of an advantage, and he's going to luck to the outside coming out of turn 2.
Levine looking to try and get his first lead of the day. Ping stays to the bottom. Ping trying to get the run on the outside. Taking it away, gets the advantage. Truck number 3 for the first time all night is up at the point. And that Chevy gets the chance to lead with the speed being there for Justin Levine up front, looking at being the double-digit win club.
And now he's going to set his sights on driving away from that 81. He ran him down, so he knew that at least recently he is a little bit better. If he can keep that up and build that gap, it's going to be really hard to pass him late in the going. Similar story to last Sunday at Charlotte. It seems to be the way that Justin Levine is getting these things done. And tonight he doesn't have to deal with point leader Chris Carroll. So it could be a pretty clear path to victory. Still a long ways to go, including a green flag pit stop as this battle here. Wilson has backed up the field. Marr, Bell, and that is the lap truck of Cody Gibson are all on top of each other as Tanner Marr just can't seem to find a way around Logan Wilson, although he is a little bit quicker and his truck is handling a little bit better.
See the little difference in terms of stability coming off the corner. A lot more weeble wobbling off the rear for the 76. It's going to get interesting. Remember those who topped off the highest out of anybody who topped off in this race, Cade, on the last caution. Hold on a minute. Tanner Marr nearly took a stage left to pit road in the wall.
But he saved it, got back on track, and didn't lose any positions. And now he's got that truck wound up, and he had the momentum to run away from Larry Bell. That line certainly wasn't optimal, but Tanner Marr made it work. And yeah, that do have that little bit of an alternate strategy. I think if at least everybody can make it 5 more laps on these tires, they'll be good to go to the end of the race. We saw a big slide in the back. I think that was Michael Boone that absolutely lost it coming off of 2. Yes, it was. He's now fallen in the clutches of that pink truck back there. And that is Mark Arthur, who's 80 laps off the pace, as we see Chris Berg now coming to the battle. He wants a spot on Larry Bell, and he's going to get it.
Continues the squabble in shuffle. But I was about to say, for some of the top drivers, they're going to have to pit pretty soon. See a little bit of an issue for Harmon with the wall. But I was about to say, in terms of the conversation point, drivers like Levine, they're going to have to come in a couple laps. Here's the thing. They're outside the range to make it, and can't make this point because Wilson again nearly wrecks it again.
And we might not have to make a green flag stop. It might come under yellow. These trucks are slipping and sliding around. Nobody is handling well, but nobody is having to deal with it worse than Logan Wilson. Here's another move as he has still managed to hang on to the 5th position. Left, then right, then left, then right. Looked like a Nintendo cheat code, and he's around. Caution is out with 60 to go. Harmon is in it. Levi Allen had some hard contact as well, but for the most part, everybody keeps out of the 76 of Logan Wilson, who went around in front of the field.
Caution is out. And how did that happen? Oh. Wilson didn't track up, and it looked like the Ford tracked up himself. And that is a interesting caution here for the moment of the race, because we can't make it on fuel from here.
Well, we should be able to. I mean, this is essentially this is identical to stage number 2. We have the advantage this time, where as soon as the checkered flag comes out, you don't have to coast back around to pit road. I think you have to try to make it. You might come in to top off the next time around as well. We'll see what happens, but Justin Levine, after getting the lead just a few laps to go, is going to bring the entire field down to pit road. Most guys are going to take 4 tires and try to make it to the end of the race.
This will, for a lot of people, be the final tire sets here. And we'll do this with everyone taking service. Believe that might, if Tanner Marr was to claim, that would be the second incident. Hold on. Raise off pit road. Arthur. That was an edge there for Arthur technically, but Justin Levine was the one who actually won the race off pit road over Payne, Kilroy, Zimmerman. We also have everybody essentially on 4 tires except for Arthur there. Cody Gibson was your lucky dog. And immediately has to come down pit road again. I don't know if he actually technically gets the lap back, since he just immediately had to take to pit road anyway. He was 2 down. He's marked as 1. So either way, 7 is in. And somehow he got another penalty. I don't know what Cody Gibson is doing on that entry. The pit road speed limit is 40. He did go up 41 on one of the sectors. But outside of that conversation point, let's get to the important fact of, depending on when we restart here, Cade, this is going to become a point where you have to clutch and coast a bit.
I think you are going to have to save, but again, this is basically, these drivers have done this before. We've seen this story. We've already written it once. I think if you're taking care of your tires, you're backed off of the throttle enough, you just have to do per lap, as we're going to see Justin Levine come down. He wants to, I'm assuming he wants to top off. He's giving up the lead to do it. TBB in the pits as well. We've seen some other drivers towards the rear of the field. I believe Kleinschmidt, Bruton, Harmon, that bunch, they have already topped off a little bit. So they just want a little bit extra insurance, right? They want to start this run, this final 56 laps to the end. They want to start it with as much fuel as possible. Levine tops off. Now Butcher Benjamin's going to pull into his pit stall. This is going to take him from the lead all the way back to the 13th position for Justin Levine. So he's given up a lot of track position. He's going to have to pass 11 trucks here if he wants to do it, but we're coming to the restart. Dustin Ping is going to have the lead right here. Kilroe Zimmerman, that strategy call has worked out, but he is all out of tires for the rest of the race, so he's hoping that it goes green. Berg, Bell, Wellman, Boone, Massengill, Logan Wilson, Trevor Harmon, rounding out your top 10.
All set for the restart. Tanner Martin's officially done. Gibson got the black flag cleared. Payne is off and away. And the game is on to try and make it on fuel. We are going to have to go an extra lap compared to when 3 people ran out on the pace lap after the caution came out for the stage. Spinner at the back. William Bruton saved it.
And all this fuel conversation goes out the window if we get a yellow again. Most drivers do have one more set of tires, so that yellow would not completely ruin, as we see Burton getting loose all by his lonesome. Same story that we've talked about all night. New tires, really difficult to deal with. And Burton found that out once again the hard way, going to drop him all the way back. Last car on the lead lap. The 14th position, Cody Gibson now in 15th. If we do get a yellow, would get back on the lead lap with his third free pass. He might get it right here as Boone is around off a 4 in the grass, but we stay green.
No caution. New fastest lap, Dustin Ping. 23.6 up at the front of the field. Guards at the back of the field are having some moments here. Levine amongst those who's already cut their way up a few spots up to the top 8. See him just up the road, right there, right behind Wilson.
And we saw that fastest lap from Dustin Ping. It means the temperature is down. The track is gripped up, which means it's going to be a little bit easier to push these tires and find some speed. And I think that plays right into the hand of Justin Levine, who's got to make up all this track position to get back to the front. Already +4 on this restart. He's got Logan Wilson right in front of him. Wilson, a guy who's got to be grinning from ear to ear to have taken that set of tires off and put a new one on, because whatever happened on that last run, that truck was handling just evil. And if he can get by Larry Bale, he'll be back to the front. More problems, though, for William Bruton at 83.
This front of the field's been topsy-turvy a bit. There's why Bruton had an issue. Just got loose. The 83 cut through the grass. The second slides. This is the restart. Wilson moves to 6th. Butcher Benjamin amongst those stepping forward. Gets around Harmon as well. Some of those on the top offs are already passing those who are already on the back foot on strategy a bit by a lap or two on the fuel tank by at least, will be at least 2 to 3 tenths of a gallon, if not 4 tenths. The difference in some of these fuel tanks.
And the advantage that gives them is a little bit different than a tire advantage, but they still can be faster because they don't have to save as much. They're not going to give up as much time saving fuel because obviously they already have more in the tank. So they are going to be just a little bit faster, similar to, not quite the same as having better tires, but all those drivers that came in to top off, all those drivers that have more fuel can save less and go faster. Kyle Wellman looking for the 4th position. We talked about him earlier, how he has just not had a very Wellman-like season, but he's going to look to the inside the top 5, doing battle with Chris Berg. And if he can get that truck rotated, he's got the power down, and he's going to be dead even with Berg as they hit the line. Less than 50 laps to go. Now it's 48.
Time ticking away for a lot of the drivers, and Pink continues to eat up lead laps. He's got 40 of them now. Wellman still on center screen. Remember we talked about how, what's going on with the run, what's going on with the situation? Well, in his case, he is cutting forward here and picking up spots. Wilson looking a lot more improved on this run also. He just got on the top 5 again.
Wilson's back in this fight. We'll see if he brings Levine with him. Justin Levine is, he's going to be the one to watch to me. The gap between him and Ping, as Ping has to save that fuel and manage those tires, I think Levine's going to be a little bit better. But is he going to be 3.5 seconds better? That is the question, as we're looking at Kyle Wellman now setting his sights on Brian Zimmerman. A couple of great looking throwback trucks there, but Wellman is loose. And hangs on to that truck, though, as they head into turn 3.
Still doing well, and he is charge ahead. Levine is continuously making his way to the field, not having to worry about fuel mileage as much. 3 just made a pass for the 6th spot in the background. Let's take a look at how things got off the corner. You see the clap of the wall as everyone else zips on by. At least 2 others clapped it too.
And what I'm worrying about with Kyle Wellman is that looks really similar to what happened to Logan Wilson on the last run. As soon as you get this truck sideways just a little bit, those rear tires, they get mad. And if you don't cool them back down, they'll stay hot, they'll lose grip, they'll have more temperature, and it'll make it even easier to slide again. You slide again, you lose more grip. As he makes the pass on Zimmerman, it opens the door for Logan Wilson, as we're going to take a look at Dalton Kilroe just getting in the throttle a little too much, grabbing the wall with the right rear. No harm, no foul for Kilroe, as he is now trying to drive away from your new 3rd place driver, Wellman, who's driving away from Zimmerman, who's got Wilson, who's got Levine. This is a great battle for the 3rd position.
Track's gotten hotter again, a little bit higher up for those curious, as it goes back and forth like a pendulum swing here this evening. Here comes Levine. Right now, he is your quickest driver on the track by 0.2 last time by. His average over the past 10 is right up with the race leader also. The 3 is now in the top 5 again. He is the first out of anyone on the top off. Wilson will the apron to respond. That's not going to work.
Wilson chasing that truck up the track, but he pulls up behind Levine. Lucky not to make contact with the 3, but he's going to have to settle in line for the 6th spot as they get side by side ahead of him. The number that I was looking at just after we restarted, there were 3.5 seconds between leader Dustin Ping and the 3 of Justin Levine. It has now come down to 2.9, so 0.6 in about 15 laps or so. Another 0.2 that last time by as he grabs a spot from Brian Zimmerman. Now Levine's up to position number 4, and he's brought another 0.5 tenth back to race leader Dustin Ping.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good for the 3 if he's able to get himself through to this traffic as quick as possible. Put himself positioned to battle up for the race lead later in this one. 40 to go still. Now down to 39, should rather say. And it's now the 3 about to take away 3rd. Just about got himself turned in front of the 42. Now it's the tough part. 3 seconds nearly. The gap between him and the leader. He's got Kilroe and Payne he needs to pass.
If he can get there, I think the hardest part is going to be Dalton Kilroe. We talked about how good Dalton Kilroe is as these runs go on. In addition, Kilroe is also faster than your leader, Dustin Ping. So if Ping gets around the 81, drives away, if Kilroe gets around the 81 and drives away, rather, that's going to mean that Ping is the barricade between the 41 and the 3. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this one shakes out. I think we got 3 or 4 trucks who could win this if it goes green, and that number gets exponentially higher if we do see another yellow. So still plenty of action, as the closest battle on track right now is for the 5th position. Zimmerman hangs on to it over Wilson. We've also got ourselves a looming battle for the lead, as it's just about 3 or 4 truck lengths between Dustin Ping and Dalton Kilroe. Zimmerman nearly in the wall, but he saves it.
And Zimmerman fading back here. A little bit of a close moment again off the corners for Wilson as Wilson starts to fade again. It's just been starting to slide around a little bit more compared to the others as Zimmerman falls back in the line. Oh, and a crossover.
Let's go 3.
3 wide down and a 1. And Wellman did not like it, and Wilson got moved.
Zimmerman sent it into the corner, shoved Wilson up the track. Wellman set up a great crossover, but all of them lost time to Chris Berg, who has moved himself into this battle in addition to Cody Gibson, the lap truck. And Wilson, we'll see if he tries to retaliate at all. He's going to look to pass Wellman, ducking to the inside, but it's getting crazy back there. In the bottom right, that's a live look at the lead. Dustin Ping, he got around the lap truck of William Bruton. He is now in the free pass position, but he has Dalton Kilrow all over his trunk.
As the run to the outside. Bit of a squeeze up the track initially, but Kilrow has the chance to take away the lead. The 41 looking for his first lead of the night. Payne still keeping the fight up. Payne just a couple weeks ago got his first league win in about a year and a half. Now he looks to get himself on the inside, something, anything. No, it's Kilrow up to first.
And that reminds me of exactly what happened on that run where Ping lost the lead to Levine. He just wasn't able to pace himself appropriately, burnt the tires off a little bit too hard. We'll see though. Kilrow, I think, was on the push to try to catch him. As Ping sends it into the corner, he's going to slide up in the middle, but avoid contact with Kilrow. He doesn't want to give up, but I think his chance right now is to hang back, get ready for the 3 truck to catch him, and hope that a 3-horse race causes some chaos that plays into his hands. If he can keep his truck under him, though, he might have a shot on the long run. Not doing that, loses it off a 2, saves it, and now dives to the inside.
He knows how important it is to hold on to clean air with this way. The race is gone. With 30 to go, Kilrow has a good advantage. Keep in mind, Levine, his time's equalized out. The difference is still 2.5 back to this fight. He's not joining in for the next while, to say the least, and Kilrow has all the time he needs to try and build up the gap. It's been pretty tight all race, so in the largest lead, it's been about 1.1 seconds, Cade. Can Kilrow stretch it out enough to make it untouchable is the question.
He's got to be careful not to push himself too hard right here. If Ping keeps throwing haymakers at him, Kilrow's been on the push to try to, respond to those moves, and it's made him push that truck a little bit harder than I would imagine that he wants to. As once again, Ping has a little bit of a glance to the inside. Coming off a 4, Kilrow opened the door, and Ping was nearly there. They get to fighting each other again down into turn number 1. Dustin Ping wants the lead. Here's how it happened. Kilrow entered high, and for some reason, just lost momentum.
Yeah, and now Ping has an error resurgence here to the inside. Not willing to rough up the 41, obviously. As a result, just enough to keep it to the fender. I don't know if Payne will have the chance to get the bounce back. He's trying to go deep. Oh, he went up the track and nearly slammed the door. Kilrow got a squeeze. Now Kilrow's saying, what are we doing? He's mad with Payne trying to fight him for this. Levine's now playing the shark music as he's down to under 1.5 seconds.
Levine's gotten around the lap truck of Bruton, so he is within distance of being able to see this battle. That truck on the inside is the 3 of Levine, as Kilrow and Ping have decided that they are going to hang it out and start the battle now. I think they needed to work together to drive away a little bit, but instead they're burning it up. Their door banging together in turn 4. Kilrow nearly in the fence as Dustin Ping goes back to the race lead with 25 to go. He did not want to get past.
There is the counterpoint that the 41 camp will loudly say here. Oh, look, the 3 is here. It's 1.1 seconds. They lost near 1.5 seconds with that intense fight. Yes, it's fun, but there is the counterpoint that's slowly chipping away that now has a realistic shot here. Kilrow having to really play with the throttle, getting loose off corner.
And you got to make sure, too, that you save enough fuel. Remember how close we were at the end of Stage 2? This run being the same distance means that you've got to be managing the throttle the exact same way. And if you're fighting for the win, you're not going to be doing a whole lot of that. So you got a lot to manage right now. Ping has managed to open up a couple of lengths, retook the lead, and started to drive away from Kilrow. But I think both of these guys have used up some grip, and Justin Levine is going to be close sooner rather than later. At the line, it'll be 22 to go, which means not a long ways left in this one. It started off 200 laps, looked like quite a distance, but it's going to come down to probably the final couple of laps. Kilrow still all over the back bumper of Dustin Ping.
It's been an interesting race here tonight. Remember, Levine, 2 laps more on the field with the top off. Logan Wilson right now is ahead of Brian Zimmerman. The next pack as well, and Berg, Bell, and Butcher Benjamin. They're all squabbling as well with Trevor Harmon in it. But 21 laps to work with. The 3 is going a little bit more different on entry. These 2 up front are trying to swoop down for the apex. He's trying to charge the corner. Levine's making the time stand up. Point his averages running the 24/7s the past 10. Now he's almost there. Here's the tough part, dirty air time for Levine.
And Levine's going to have to get to them, but getting to them will be one thing a whole lot different than actually completing that pass, especially as these 2 continue to fight. As aggressive in Ping as Kilrow have been, it wouldn't surprise me if there's even more contact, which means if Justin Levine gets involved, he's opening himself to potentially getting caught up in their mess. He is there. Even gap from first to second. Gap from second to third is the same, and Logan Wilson isn't too far behind this battle either. We'll see what happens. Less than 20 to go. There's some lap traffic up the road as well, so we'll see how they deal with that. It's all on the table now. Man, this is good. This is good stuff.
It's going to be difficult to stop the fast drivers with the way the charge is going for the 3. If they start fighting, that might throw everyone else into the mix. Here comes Levine looking for second. He got the nose underneath Kilrow. Now to the numbers, to the edge of the Goodyear logos. Levine with a chance to make the move for second. He led 7 laps, Kilrow did. Levine led 11 earlier. These 2 fighting side by side, 17 to work with.
And Kilrow now has some experience. He knows how to use that outside lane to defend, but he's burnt that right front tire up, and he's hurt the rear, so Levine, I think, is in the good position. Kilrow's in the fence, and Justin Levine is clear for the second position. Now he can see Dustin Ping. The gap that was 3.5 seconds is now just 0.3. He is nearly there, closing that gap all the way down to Dustin Ping.
Coming up to 15 laps to go now. Levine, plenty of time to think. Payne has led 65 laps tonight. This time by will take the most laps led, in fact, to 66. But Levine has had pace. He hasn't had the clean air like the others have most of the night, though. And so the charge is on to see if there's anything he can do to get alongside the 81 to rip this away from Ping. They are catching up the lap traffic. Mark Arthur is just up the road, so clean air is going away for the leader.
That's going to make things difficult when they try to navigate. I'm assuming Mark Arthur is just going to kind of try to get out of the way for him, but until they actually complete that pass, he will be putting dirty air on the nose of the 81. We know Ping has had to burn up some grip to get back around Kilrow earlier. Kilrow, meanwhile, has almost lost touch with this group. So we'll see how much Ping has left in the tank, both literally and in the grip reserves on those tires. How much Goodyear is left, how much Sunoco is left. We'll see if they can make it back to the end. We're going to take a quick look back at this battle for the 7th position. TBB clears Wellman. Wellman running out of grip. Harmon loose on the inside, as that's Larry Bell, the purple truck in line. This is 5 of them basically in a blanket, plus the lap truck of Levi Allen. This fight just as fierce as the one up front, but this one much deeper in the field.
All sorts of shuffling late in this one. These drivers have been not too calm. We talked about that group back and forth. It's kept up all night, it feels like, for them. Here's the diamond run. Payne having an issue off the corner. Nearly wrecked himself in front of Levine. Justin Levine to the race lead with less than 12 to go. Payne looking for the crossover.
Ping got a much better entry into the corner. We'll see if he can use momentum on exit. No, Levine is clear, and here's going to be a look at what happened. Ping had to work the wheel to keep that truck off the wall, successfully avoided contact, but lost a ton of time. And now, if I'm Levine or Ping, I need to take the lead now, because that caution could come out at any time with the way they're racing deeper in the pack. And as Kia's track position is, you have got to be in front right here. Going to be a really tall task for Ping to get around Justin Levine. He's going to have 10 laps to do it to pass that 3 truck.
Trying to keep close to the 3. Arthur is now 4 truck lengths in front. Payne stays low. Slam door by Levine. How does Arthur play this in front? He is 79 laps down. Payne got loose. Now Levine's got space. Arthur moves out of the way. Now Payne has to charge the corner to try and compensate. And the 12 is still next to Ping.
Yeah, the 12 did him no favors there. We saw Ping had to work the wheel to keep that truck from getting loose, and it's now up to a 4-car length gap between the two of them. Here's the first side-by-side battle on track. This is Wellman to the outside of Larry Bell for the 8th position. Trevor Harmon is in that fight as well. He's going to look to the middle. This is battle for position. All 3 of these trucks on the lead lap. So there's plenty to play for here. Up front, Levine driving away from Ping, does not want to see a caution now.
All sorts of battles on still as the 42 keeps it up. Wellman continues to give a good amount of space here to Bell. He's been having a pretty decent day. A little bobble there. And still nothing doing for any of these drivers. Allen 2 laps down in the midst of this. Cody Gibson, who is 1 lap down in the midst of this. All of them racing pretty aggressive. Only 3 of these 5 are for position.
Well, Gibson's trying to push too because he can see Bruton up the track. If he can get to Bruton, he can take the free pass spot, hopefully before these guys wreck each other, which hopefully doesn't happen before we see the checkered flag. So there's a lot going on right here. Harmon's now going to look to the inside. Can he make the pass on Larry Bell? Bell's been playing some great defense here late in the going, but he gets way up the track, and I think that's going to open the door for the 16 of Trevor Harmon. He's going to fire it off into turn 3 and try to use the bottom to make that pass.
So, with under 5 laps to go, the lead's grown to more than a second. The battles on track, still outside the top 5, continue to stay pretty intense, with Harmon able to take away a spot. It's been a race to think about for some. Strategy came into play, and it looks like nobody is running out per se. I don't think anyone went really hard on the clutch and coast. Only driver in pit road is Allen, who was 2 laps down.
And I think that's Levi Allen just kind of getting out of the way. No opportunity for him to gain any more spots with just 4 laps to go. Meanwhile, Justin Levine, now 3 to go, has opened up a full second back to Dustin Ping. He had that fuel strategy that allowed him to push just a little bit harder, and I think it wound up being the right play for him. We'll see if anybody runs out of fuel here late in the going. We'll keep an eye on the leaders, but for now, it's going to be back to this battle for the 8th position. Bell, Harmon, and Kyle Wellman, who was running 3rd at one point, slid all the way back to 10th. Here's the slide from Harmon. Had Bell cleared, but lost that position. He's going to have to get it back all over again.
And so, Justin Levine, showcasing speed all night long tonight, able to thrive at the late portions of the night from Iowa. Coming to the white flag this time by Levine. Not more than 20 laps led on the evening, but he had to fight several times over. Had fuel issues at the end of stage 2 after he found his way to the front at the end of that stage. Worked his way to the pack. By the end, found his way back to victory lane in blazing pedals. Checker flag, Justin Levine, win number 10 in this series. Been a tough, difficult driver to pass whenever you give him the lead. And Levine able to jump up and take advantage. And Dustin Payne comes up to say, congratulations, you did a good job.
And Ping, I think, yeah, you mentioned it, led more laps than anybody. Super disappointed not to come away with the win, but being a good sport there. Both of these trucks inspired by those Richard Childress paint schemes. Both of them look really, really nice. And those two guys put on one heck of a show. Dalton Kilroe brings it back 3rd, and Logan Wilson, after leading so many laps, was able to hang on to a top 5 position. We'll get the rest of the results here in a second as Justin Levine burns it down after 2 wins in a row at race number 12 here in the Blazing Pedals series.
Part-time schedule this season, and to say the least, when he races here, he's one of its strongest. It's been for a long time, been a very solid driver, well respected in sim racing, and he's got the win by 1.4 seconds tonight. Payne and Kilrow are on the podium. Speak with them pretty soon. Logan Wilson starts off the night up at the front for much of the way. He recovers to 4th after sliding back into the top 10. Frank's in the top 5. Chris Berg down 6th this evening. Taylor Butcher Benjamin over Trevor Harmon. Larry Bell, Kyle Wellman, your top 10.
Back in 11th, it's Michael Boone, then Matthew Kleinschmidt and Mike Massagill. The rest of the trucks on the lead lap. William Burton hangs on to 14th over Cody Gibson. And it's Levi Allen. After winning the first stage, he falls out of the race to finish 16th. Tanner Marr crashes out. He'll be 17th. And Mark Arthur gets in the race there at the end to run, but he winds up 18th, 80 laps down.
So top to bottom with the rider here tonight in this one. Remind you that tonight's post-race coverage, once again, brought to you by Flying Pig Tavern, a local tavern in Fairborn, Ohio. They make made-to-order pizza as well as have specialty pizzas. They have special events as well on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Top 3 standing on by to start celebrations here this evening. Justin Levine, back-to-back victories in this series. Justin, welcome back to Victory Lane. You're in the double-digit win club now in Blazing Pedals. How's that make you feel?
It feels great, especially spinning out so early in the race. I was like, oh, this is going to be a long one.
Yeah, what made tonight difficult in your opinion? Because you had to go through the pack several times.
Really just discipline. The car was really loose, and I was really trying to drive off the right front for a little bit there, try to burn it off, and then kick out the rear end. And from us running multiple groups, every run was different than the next. Sometimes I had to go all the way up out of the repave, sometimes I had to be middle. Towards nighttime, I had to be bottom, and I had to just make sure that I kept the tires under me at all times.
With that in mind, when's your next plan start? I know I've been doing this part-time for this season so far.
I'm going to run as many as I can, as long as work allows me. Really, it's been a 10-minute to go decision here, but I'm going to try to run as many as I can.
Any shout you'd like to give here tonight?
You guys broadcast does such a great job. Can't wait to go back and check out Green Flag TV. All the admins, Mark, Dalton, Dustin, whoever else I can't remember at the moment. Appreciate them for allowing me in here and putting this on for us, and of course all the viewers for tuning in.
Okay, thank you so much for the time here, Justin.
Thanks, have a good night.
Justin Levine coming away with the victory here tonight. Dustin Payne, I believe, is waiting on by. Be with Cade if he pops up. Yes, he does. He's with Cade.
Hey, Dalton Kilrow, or excuse me, Dustin Ping up here in the 2nd position, just 1 spot short of the win, had the lead late in the going. Dustin, what were you thinking when you saw Levine getting larger and larger in the rearview mirror?
Typical. Typical Justin, he's pretty quick. I probably screwed up there battling Dalton, letting him get close to us, but I don't know. I'm too stubborn to let anybody go, so.
Well, it was a lot of fun to watch. It seemed like you had a lot of pace there at the end. Talk to me about how you were able to get away from the field and how you were doing trying to hang on to it there at the end.
Yeah, I thought some of them were battling, and as soon as it got cool, I found some grip and found a line I liked and was able to get away. But just trying to keep the right front on this thing is kind of difficult, and not sliding the right rear. And I think I just brought my right front up that last, 50 laps.
Well, you were super close. Still a really good run in the 2nd position. What do you think is your biggest takeaway from this one tonight?
I thought it was a good race, and it was pretty close. But yeah, I don't get to run these very often in this league, so yeah, it was a good one.
Well, we were glad that you were able to come out and still put on a good showing. Before we let you go hang out for the night, is there anybody you got to shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank Dalton and him for putting this league on, and the sponsors of the race.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming up, having a chat for us. Enjoy your night.
Yep, thank you.
Dustin Payne coming away in second spot tonight. Dalton Kilroe, K-Boy in third spot. Dalton, talk to us about that battle for the race lead.
Yeah, I don't know what else there's to say. I work on him for 15 laps because I'm faster than him, get around him clean on the outside, and then for the next 10 laps, he decides to dive it underneath me and slow us both down and just hand the race over to the 3. So I don't know what he was thinking, but I'm not really sure it was much.
Well, on that note, what would you take as a positive on the night?
I mean, the fact that I didn't think I was even going to be doing more than a start and park. I'm exhausted from the Majors 24 over the last, just over last night. And then, you know, having a really bad sunburn that makes it feel like I'm getting stabbed by a bunch of little miniature needles every other few movements. I was like, well, maybe I might not race, but I was like, there's not too many trucks out here. Let's see if I can get a good points night. And then it turned into fighting for the win, and then just handing it over to somebody who was out of it.
So that being said here, the next race on the schedule, let's talk about it. It's the Brickyard. How do you feel these trucks will race at Indy?
As much as I love Indy, I am not looking forward to the Brickyard. These trucks are so draft heavy that it's gonna be really hard to hold the lead unless you are overdriving your stuff, and there's just gonna be too much of an accordion effect coming out of the corners where guys will just get that draft, and you know, you could be the fastest truck out there and somebody's just gonna do something stupid and probably end up taking a couple trucks out with them. But hopefully just try and avoid that and see what happens.
Any shout you'd like to give here tonight?
I think Ohio and Indiana Roofing. Gotta thank all the other admins at BPL for helping put this league together. You guys for the broadcast. Orman Barbaco, Team Watson Racing Setups. Gotta thank Flying Pig Tavern and Shortstop Pizza, and everybody home for tuning in.
Congratulations on the run tonight, Dalton.
Thank you.
Dalton Kilroe gets the top 3 tonight here at Iowa Speedway. Like, thank everyone taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage. You're on Green Flag TV. So let's take a look at what's upcoming. Remember, we talked about a build week this week. We only have a few special events or various races for the first couple days. Monday is High Tide. That's before the update at Michigan. They'll be in the trucks as well. But then on Wednesday, it is a special event for TRE. They'll be at Watkins Glen for an event. Be sure to tune in Wednesday night. Beer League will also be that evening at a track no one will know quite yet. Then the Castle Glass Company Series hits the track for the Mystic Racing League from Worldwide Technology Raceways. They race at Gateway. That will be an 8:30 start time, give or take. Then the Speed Cup Series also is that night. They're at Chicagoland to find out who wins in Joliet, Indiana. Illinois, I should say. But the Brickyard is next on track for this series here, Cade. Your final thoughts on tonight from Iowa before we go to Indy.
I think tonight proved that we have a lot of drivers who can be in contention for these wins. I mean, there were 5, 6 different guys that led laps at some point tonight, and there were a couple of others who were up there really close battling inside the top 5. So when we go to a track like Indianapolis, like Dalton Kilroe talked about there in his interview, just about anything can happen. And when you have a lot of guys who are very evenly matched, it means the entire race, you're close together. You might be beating and banging a little bit. You'll be drafting. You'll be side by side. It'll be a really, really close battle to the finish. So I think it's going to be that way next week in Indianapolis, and I think that's going to be that same way for the rest of the series if tonight's race was any indication.
Absolutely, and that's going to be, again, a 7:30 p.m. start next weekend. Be sure to tune in on Sunday, June the 14th, to find out who gets it done in Indy. But on that note, it's time to say goodbye for tonight's coverage here on Green Flag TV. For my co-announcer Kate Corbin, for producer and Dustin Ollis, I'm Justin Prince saying thank you so much for tuning in for tonight's coverage of the Blazing Pedals Racing League. We'll see you next time from the Brickyard on Sunday.